sometimes. I forget. I just have no idea which chord I'm going to. I'm like half sleeping, but I figure it out eventually. It's a good name for a book. Figure it out when you get there. Okay, so shkoyach to Arya and Meira for coming, and whoever's going to watch with us, whoever's watching, to my mother, who can see me, so she complains that I need a haircut. So maybe I'll have a chance to cut my hair tonight. Just so everyone can see I'm wearing a kippah, because you can't see it at this angle. Wouldn't want anybody to think that like I'm a goy or something, God forbid. Okay. And also I should say Shalom Aleichem to David and Avital and everyone else that watches with us. Not sure everybody who watches afterwards, but those two I'm sure. And to Katie and Yael if they watch later. Okay. Can I move the table without knocking over the phone? Let's see. I want to just be closer to the air conditioning. Because after like 1,000 years in Russia, my family moves to Miami. Right? Some people move to Milwaukee because it's like Russia. My family moves to Miami. I'm still sweating because I'm ready for Siberian cold. Okay, so we started last week. We finished lesson Ayin Bet last week. Just, I don't know if you got a chance to watch the lesson, but I'll just tell you the conclusion of the lesson was that you have to constantly keep this battle up against the Yetzer Hara. It's never going to go away, and it can come also as sadness. And sadness is one of the big things that can really trip you up and knock you down. So not to let yourself become sad. Now, depression is a different thing. Sadness is something you bring upon yourself. That's what we concluded. Now we're moving on to Ayin Bet. Ayin Bet, and it starts out with Lashon Chaverim, and this is for all the lessons until Kuf Chet. And what it means is before we were learning from Lashon Rabbeinu, which means that Rabbi Nachman actually wrote down the word for word each lesson. Lashon Chaverim means that he sat in front of a group of Hasidim and gave over the lesson. They wrote it down word for word, gave it to Reb Nassim, gave it to Rabbi Nachman. It was reviewed. It was then put out in this print. So that's the distinction. It's not that it's the Hasidim making up the lesson. It's Rabbi Nachman just not writing it word for word. Okay. Rabbeinu Zal potech b'pasuk she'Hakadosh Baruch Hu omer l'Am Yisrael. He opens with the verse that Hashem said to the Jewish people in Yeshayahu, Ki ta'avo b'mayim itcha ani. When you go through water, I will be with you. And then the continuation of the verse is, Ubena'arot lo yishtafucha. And in the rivers, the raging rivers, you won't be overwhelmed or drowned. Ube'amshech haTorah yive'er ha'remez b'panimiyut hanilmad me'pasuk zeh. And in the continuation of the verse, of the lesson, he's going to show us what's the connection between this here. That you won't drown in the waters, Hashem will be with you. Yive'er kitzad yasig ha'adam et panimiyut haTorah v'hanhagat Hashem. How is it possible for a human being to grasp the pnimiyut, the inside, the internal part of the Torah, and to understand Hashem's behavior, or to extrapolate something from Hashem's behavior in this world? Dihine Torah stima vegalia. We know that the Torah is stuma veniglet, is concealed and revealed. Perush, the meaning is, Torah yesh ba chelek nistar v'chelek nigla. There's a hidden part of the Torah and there's a revealed part of the Torah. V'kadosh Baruch Hu ugamken stim v'galia. And Hashem is also satum v'nigla, is also hidden and revealed. Dahainu mash nigla lanu b'Torah v'anhagat Hashem. What is revealed to us from Hashem is the Torah and Hashem's actions, behavior in this world, which we can sometimes see, we don't always merit to see. V'hu halavush v'chitzoniyut b'bchinat sfirat malchut. And what is the part of Hashem that we're seeing? It's only the outer clothing and the external part of the person. So for example, I'm wearing clothes and I have skin and muscles, but inside of me is a neshama. That's the true me. On the outside of me is the meat body, whatever we call it, the human body, and on top of the human body are the clothes. But the body is not me, and the clothes are not me. The neshama is me. And so what we're getting is not the neshama of Hashem, we're getting, in a sense, the body of Hashem and the clothes of Hashem, the external part of Hashem. The B'chinat Sfirat Malchut, and this is connected to the attribute of Malchut, which of course is the lowest of all the Sfirot. The analogy for Malchut is soil. So Malchut is poor, and it has nothing of its own. I forgot how you say it in Aramaic, Deleit ve'ani'ah ve'ein laknum, or something like that. And what it means is we have Keter, and then we have all the Sfirot going down to Malchut. Malchut receives from all the Sfirot, all of the energy from the Sfirot above. So if a person takes a seed and puts it in the soil and waters it, it will grow. It grew because the soil is Malchut. It has the power for growth, but it doesn't have anything on its own. You had to put something in it. So we're receiving from Hashem the lowest level of Hashem's revelation in this world. Sheba manhig Hashem yitbarach et olam, and this is how Hashem is making the world happen, what we call normally nature or circumstances. That is the lowest level of Hashem's revelation in this world. Uma shenistar mimenu b'Torah v'anhagat Hashem hu hapnimiyut shehem sodot haTorah v'sfirot ha'emyonot. And what's hidden from us is in the Torah and Hashem's actions in this world, which is His pnimiyut, which is His essence, which are the secrets of the Torah and the higher levels of the attributes in the what do we call it? The sfirot. I can't even say the word for it. What is it called? The tree of life, huh? The 10 attributes. So the higher ones are Hashem's essence. The lower one is the clothing or the body, not a body, but like the skin, the outer shell of Hashem. The B'chinat Partzuf Zer Anpin, which is going to need an explanation. This is the face of Zer Anpin, which means the small face. Shehu Mechuseh Meitanu Al Yedei Sfirat HaMalchut, which is hidden from us through the attribute of Malchut. So Zer Anpin, we have Zer Arichin and Zer Anpin. So Zer Anpin is the short or small face. Zer Arichin is the long face. And what it means is Hashem's expression in this world. What? Arich Anpin? Okay, thank you. You're welcome to correct me, don't worry. I had sushi. So I can handle corrections. Can handle without sushi. But I am tired, so correct me, please. So we have Zer Anpin, which means, now I was trying to understand this myself, so I'm going to try to explain as best I can, how the emotions are expressed in our daily life. That would be Zer Anpin. And I guess, what is the other one? Zer Arich Anpin, which is the long face, which would be, I guess, the bigger arch of, I can't really explain it, so that's all I'm going to say. So this comes to us and it's covered from us through the attribute of Malchut, meaning that we're going to get some type of connection with Hashem, but we're going to get it in a backwards way. We're not going to get it in a direct way. V'hine kol adam tzarich lezarez et atzmo la'asig hapnimiyut. Every person has to get themselves moving in order to get to understand the essence or the neshama or the inside of Hashem. What's hidden from us? That is, that we have to get ourselves moving to understand from Hashem's revealed actions in this world, the hidden parts of His behavior. So that seems like a contradiction. How are we supposed to understand the hidden parts of Hashem if they're hidden from us? And He's saying that it is hidden from us, but it's revealed to us if we have the ability to see it. Umiyad makshe, and immediately we have this problem. Ach, ech yuchal la'agia el hanistar mimenu. How are we supposed to get to the thing that's hidden from us? Te'ech yasig mitoch ha'anhaga hagluya et hanhaga hanisteret. How are we supposed to understand from Hashem's revealed behavior his hidden behavior? Umeshiv, and he answers, b'tfilah l'shma, in davening for its own sake. Tfilah l'shem Hashem bilvad, davening just for Hashem. So what does that mean? If we're davening for parnasa, we're davening for health, or for shidduch, or for children, for anything like that, that's fine. You should daven for those things. But when you just daven to daven, you're just davening, coming with nothing to ask. So you get to a point in Shemona Esrei, you can get to Shema Kolenu, and take a break, and close your eyes, and just try to be present with Hashem. Just not ask for anything, or ask for everything to get it off your chest, and then be present with Hashem. So that would be Tfilah L'Shem Hashem Bilvat. And what he's saying is that in those times, Hashem can reveal himself to you. If you're asking, if you're saying all the time, Hashem, I need parnasa, and Hashem, I need parnasa, which I do all the time. But there are times when I'll say, okay, I said it enough times. Now I'm just going to close my eyes. I'm going to pause in the middle of davening, and I'm going to be present with Hashem. And that's when Hashem can begin to reveal himself to you. Tahainu sheyikasher hamachshava el hadibo shel hatfilah bekesher amitz v'chazak sheyu panav v'libo shavim b'tfilato. That you should pay attention so much to the words of the davening that you will connect your thoughts and your speech in the davening in such a strong and courageous way that your heart and your mouth will be equal in your davening. Meaning you're totally focused on the davening and not focused on yourself. V'asiba she'al yedei tfilah lishma, and the reason for this davening just for its own sake, efshar la'asig et pnimiyut hanal, that's how the reason that we can grasp Hashem's essence by doing this is because Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu umitaveret tfilatam shel tzadikim, because Hashem desires, longs for the davening of tzadikim. Velama mitaveret tfilatam, and why does Hashem long for the davening of tzadikim? Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu chafetz chesed hu, Hashem desires compassion and kindness. V'rotzeh tamid lahashpia hashpaot bachot, and always wants to bring down good blessings and abundance into this world. V'al yedei tfilah shel tzadikim na'aseh kli, and what's the vessel for bringing down this abundance? It's the davening of the tzadikim. V'kadosh baruch hu mahashpia darko shefa ubacha leolam, and through the davening of the tzadikim, Hashem is able to bring down abundance and blessings to the world. Ve'ein hashpa'a yechola lered, but this abundance cannot come down. Rak al yedei kli anikra ani. It only can come down through the vessel that's called ani. Aleph nun yud, which means I. Shana asher ani evachem, which is connected to I will bless them. V'al yedei habchina nikret ani, and through this attribute of it's called I, yoredet habracha leolam, the blessing comes down to the world. V'akli hanan na'aseh al yedei kol echad, and this vessel is made by every one of Yisrael, every one of the Jewish people. Shemitpalel ba'ofen shemekasher hamachshava lidibo. Anytime a Jew davens and they connect their thoughts to their words, they bring down the shefa just like a tzaddik. V'af she'amu HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitavelet tfilatam shel tzaddikim, and even though it says that Hashem longs for, the davening of tzaddikim, that's the reason I'm tired, because we went to a documentary at the National Museum, at the National Library, that ended like at 11:30 at night, and by the time we got home at like close to midnight, whatever. Did get a lot of sleep, but it was nice. We had a nice time. Okay, and she forced me. I went to music camp when I was a teenager, and we were all nerdy musicians. I played the French horn back then, not the guitar. Otherwise, it'd be better playing the guitar. And we had to play sports, and they called it forced fun. I'll never forget it. That's what it's called. It wasn't even called sports. It's just like forced fun. They're like, no, we want to practice. What's wrong with you nerds? Play soccer. Forced fun. So it was forced fun last night, but it was fun. Okay, so Hashem desires the davening of tzaddikim. So what does it have to do with you and me? We're not tzaddikim. Now he's saying that the vessel for bringing down the abundance. I already took. No, good. No, wait.
Okay,
Bring it home.
So
They have. Bring it home. The kids will love it.
okay.
I'll bring it home. I'll bring it home. Okay. That's very nice of you, though. Thank you. Cheating to hear me. Okay. Every one of the Jewish people is on the level of a tzaddik when they daven with their thoughts and their mouth connected. Ki kol achad mi Yisrael nikat tzaddik al shem habrit. Everyone is called a tzaddik because of the covenant that we have with Hashem, Shnei Amar, where it says in Yeshayahu, Ve'amech kulo tzaddikim. Your nation are all tzaddikim. So once you're part of the Jewish people, you have the potential to be on the level of a tzaddik. How do you get there? You daven by focusing on the words of the davening. Yevaer, now he's going to explain Ketzad nivna hakli anikra ani. Now this gets a little more complicated. And he's going to now explain how do we have this vessel which is called ani, which is called me. Al yedei hatzadik, which comes about through the tzaddik, adibo v'machshava, the thought and speech. So I'm just going to give you the quick summary because it gets very deep into the idea. How do you understand Hashem in the same way that you understand yourself? A person can go their whole lives and they never know who they are. And you have to constantly be checking yourself and talking with yourself and going deep inside yourself. I do it on my own. Some people can do it with methods or a therapist or a psychologist or whatever. But if you want to know yourself, then you have to constantly probe yourself. You have to look for the inside of yourself. And when you find the inside of who you are, you will begin to find the inside of Hashem. That's the idea. But he's going to explain it in a way you see. I'm going to now read it to you. But at least you have the idea. Ve'at tzaddik, and the tzaddik, hainu kol achad ve'achad miYisrael shenikra tzaddik, nikra aleph. Every one of the Jewish people, which is called a tzaddik, is called an aleph. Milashon hakatuv, as written in Tehillim, alufenu mesubalim. Our great leaders, that's alufenu, are acceptable. Meaning acceptable to Hashem. Meaning that the people that are on a very high spiritual level, those are the people that Hashem says, yep, I like what they're doing, I like their davening. Hagdolim nisbalim alaktanim, the greater Jewish people, like Jewish spiritual individuals, are more accepted than the lower level ones, the smaller ones. V'aktanim nishma'im legedolim, and the smaller ones listen to the bigger ones. Hare atzadikim nikraim alufim v'pchanat aleph. The tzadikim are called grade ones, which is alufim, meaning that coming from the word aleph, from the letter aleph. Ve'ha'ot nun. So now we have the first letter in ani. Okay, we have aleph nun yud. The first letter is alufenu. Comes from the great tzaddikim, the great leaders of the Jewish people. That's where the aleph comes from. Ve'anun nikra dibur. The nun is called speech. So we have, remember, tzaddik, speech, and thought. That's aleph, nun, and yud. So speech, ki dibur ubchinat sfirat malchut, because speech is the attribute of malchut, which is the lowest level. Which I guess speech in itself doesn't have anything. Everything else has. But all of the other, I'm guessing, I wonder why it's called malchut. Okay, maybe it'll come to us. Al derech hamuva b'tikunei hazohar, as it's explained in the tikunei hazohar, malchut peh. Malchut is connected to the mouth or speech. Shesfirat malchut, the attribute of malchut, he connected b'chinat peh, is connected to the mouth. The hainu connected the dibo, that is connected to speech. Umalchut nikra nun, and malchut is called nun. Kamosha katuv, as written, lifnei shemesh inon shmo. Before the sun, Yinon is his name. And Yinon is also the name for one of the names for Mashiach. Uperish Rashi, and Rashi explains Shemila Nun Imeleshon Amalchut. Nun is from the Malchut. Va'ot Yud, so now we have Aleph and we have Nun. Now we're on Yud. The letter Yud, Mashlima et Tevat Ani, which completes the word Ani, Naaseh al Yedei HaMachsheva Shemekasher Umitpalel LaDibor Kanal. Is connected, means that we're connecting the speech to our thoughts as mentioned above. Ki HaMachsheva Nikra Yud, because thought is called Yud. Kamosh Katuv, as written, Az Yashir Moshe, then Hashem will sing. Perush Rashi explained, Yud al Shem HaMachsheva Ne'emra. Hayud b'mila Yashir melamedet al kach. Okay, so how do we get Yud from Moshe singing? The Yud is connected to thought, because the Yud is the letter that makes Yashir, the word Yashir, I guess he doesn't really complete the thought here. Az Yashir Moshe Perush Rashi, Yud al Shem HaMachsheva Ne'emra, Hayud b'mila Yashir melamedet al kach, she'al, that's the way I have to finish the sentence, she'ala b'libo lashir shira. So he says the Yud is coming to teach us that Moshe reached the level of being so connected to Hashem that he broke out in singing. Nimtza she'ot Yud, so it turns out that the letter Yud, he b'chinat machshava, is connected to thought, b'chinat sfirat chochma, which is connected to the attribute of chochma, of wisdom, haniomezet be'ot Yud harishona shel ha-Yud, shel ha-va, what is it? Havaya, sorry, the first word of Havaya. He's getting very deep into this. That's why I had to explain it to you before we got there. And you're missing half of it because you don't have this volume yet. I know, I said I would get you a copy, but I might not get around to it. So if you do, then you'll have your own. Or just remind me and I'll print it up for you. And through these three attributes, tzaddik. So that's the Aleph, the first one, which is every one of the Jewish people. Dibur, hatfilah, which is the Nun, speech and davening, the kishor machshava dibur, and connecting our thoughts to our speech, which is the Yud, harumzim, and gimel otiyot, aleph, nun, yud, which is hinted at in the three letters, aleph, nun, and yud, naaseh v'nigmar hakli hanikrani. And this what makes complete the vessel, which is called ani, me. V'ashefa yored le'olam, and then the abundance can come down into the world. Kasher yeshno hakli, when there's the vessel. V'nishnam chefetz Hashem yitbarach, and then Hashem's desire is complete. Ki chefetz chesedhu, because Hashem desires kindness and wants to bring it into the world. So we have to make a vessel to bring it into the world. And how do we do that? By connecting with ani, connecting to the essence of ourselves, which brings out the essence of Hashem, and we do that through davening with our thoughts and our speech connected. That's ani. The davening is a Jew, that's in the level of tzaddik. The thought, the speech is the nun, and the thought is the yud. Va'ot, v'hu yitbarach chotzeh la'ashpi'a shefer olam. Hashem wants to bring this abundance down to the world. There's only so many tzaddikim. So if the Jewish people will daven the way they're supposed to daven, then Hashem can bring this abundance down all the time. And then it follows that Hashem doesn't just desire the davening of tzaddikim, Hashem also desires the davening of all the Jewish people, hanikraim tzaddikim, which are called tzaddikim. Okay, I didn't think we were going to get further than this, but let's keep going. A little bit longer. לאחר שנתפאר שהשם יתברך מתהווה לתפילה לשמה של ישראל, after we clarified that Hashem desires to have the davening for davening's sake, and we know that means that we're reading the words and our thoughts and our speech are connected. That's davening lishma. כדי שיהיה נעשה על ידי תפילתם כלי הנקרא אני. In order that there will be, the davening will make a vessel, and the vessel is called ani, is called I. V'yuchal levarech otan. And then through creating this vessel, Hashem can bless everyone. Now he's going to explain, Ketzad al yedei zeh, how through this, efshar la'asig et pnimiyut shel Torah va'anhagat Hashem. How through knowing this, creating this vessel, through davening, through connecting with our neshama, through davening, through connecting with Hashem's essence through davening, can we then reveal the hidden parts of the Torah and the hidden parts of Hashem's actions. V'yodea hu ki mi shemekabel ta'anug me'acher nikra nukva nekeva רוצה lomar legabeha. Okay, I didn't prepare this section, so I did read over the whole lesson, but I didn't prepare this for tonight, so we'll see how it goes. Okay. Yodea hu she'amekabel ta'anug me'acher. Somebody who receives pleasure from another is called nukva. Nukva means nekeva, means female, but it means receiving. So if you're getting pleasure from something or someone else, then you're the one that's receiving. It doesn't mean that you're female. רוצה לומר לגביה, wants to say regarding her, פירוש, אף שהוא באמת זכר, even if a person is masculine, a man, נקרא ביחס אל זה המשפיע עליו תענוג, is called, nukva is called female in relation to the one that is influencing that person with ta'anug, with spiritual pleasure. Nekeva is called feminine. So, if a person begins to reach a high spiritual place, for example, in davening, it's called nekeva. It's called female, even if the person is a male. These are not biological concepts. These are Kabbalistic concepts. So there's masculine energy, there's female energy, but not in the way that we know it in pop psychology, meaning there's push and receive. Because it is the attribute of receiving regarding the male. Shehu b'pchinat mashpia, which is the one that's mashpia, meaning influencing, but giving over. One is receiving and one is giving over. ונמצא כשהשם יתברך מקבל תענוג מישראל מתפילתם. And so then it follows that when Hashem receives pleasure from the davening of the Jewish people, וכנ"ל הטעם על ידי תפילתם הוא יכול להשפיע עליהם החסד. And why does Hashem receive pleasure from the davening of the Jewish people? Because through our davening, Hashem can bring down kindness. כי וכל נעשה נוקבה נקבה ספירת המלכות הנ"ל. לגבי Yisrael. Then the Jewish people become the attribute, the feminine attribute, which is the attribute of Malchut, which is the receiving of all of the energy from above regarding the whole Jewish people. So when a person is davening, we are asking to receive from Hashem. We're becoming the nukva, we're becoming the feminine receiving of the energy, regardless of a person's gender. And this is what it says regarding the sacrifices. It was a pleasant smell to Hashem. And it's hinted at in this. So what does it mean? That when Hashem, what is this pleasant smell that Hashem has? Because Hashem doesn't need a smell. It's the pleasure that Hashem receives from the davening of the Jewish people. Shu mitaveh because Hashem desires this. Shekain al yadan naaseh chefzo, that through the davening, Hashem's will can come about. B'chach naaseh kli ledalko yechol Hashem yitbarach la'ashpia shefa. And so through our davening, we become a vessel through which Hashem can bring down His abundance. Ve'al yedei ta'anug zeh naaseh besod isha. And through this spiritual pleasure that's derived from our davening is made the secret of isha or woman. Mechimat shekivyachol mekabel ta'anug meitanu. Because, as it were, Hashem is receiving pleasure from us. K'moshe katuv ve'nekeva tesovev gaver. And the female will go around the male. Hainu, that is to say, ha-nekeva hi bechitzoniyut sviv ha-zachar shehu b'pnimiyut. The woman is the outer aspect regarding the man, which is the inner aspect. And if we just think of, stick and hole, I don't know how to say it in the most polite way, that's the simplest way of understanding it. But not that we're talking about that specifically. So we receive, and the woman is the outer, Hashem is and the man is the inner. V'im kain shenit ba'er. And if so, then when it was explained, that regarding Hashem, shehu b'derech klam b'bchinat parzuf zer anpin, which is normally the small face, which is the b'chinat of zachar, which is connected to the masculine energy, al yidei shemekabel ta'anug mitfila lishma, by Hashem receiving pleasure from the simple, straightforward davening of the Jewish people, shel Yisrael, hu naaseh b'chinat nekeva, sfirat malchut, ve'al yidei zeh naaseh mepnimiyut zachar, naaseh chitzoniyut nekeva. Okay, this is going around, but I want to know, shehu naaseh b'chinat nekeva, who is the one that's made the nekeva? We or Hashem? That's not clear to me. Maybe you'll tell me. That through the davening, when we daven with our mouth and our mind connected, we give Hashem this pleasure, I guess, and then we create the attribute of malchut, we create the nekeva. So then Hashem's zachar, Hashem's masculine energy, which is the internal energy, naaseh chitzoniyut, comes into the external, which is the nekeva, b'bchinat tesovev, which is the surrounding, shehu chitzoni, because anything that's external is surrounding. That chitzoniyut kain efshar la'asig, and so the external level that we can grasp, meaning that when somebody has something that it's very clear that Hashem did a miracle for them, they can grasp that Hashem did that for them. There's always the joke of the guy who's driving around looking for the parking spot, and he finds it and he says, "Never mind, Hashem, I did it by myself." Right? You know what I'm talking about. But imagine somebody has something and they know that only Hashem could have done this. It's so clear to them that Hashem did this. Then what are they getting? They're not getting the internal part of Hashem. They're still getting only the external part of Hashem. So there's a little bit that you can grasp, but the little bit that you grasp is still the external part of Hashem. Nimtza, it follows, she'al yedei atfilah lishma, through this davening for its own sake, b'chibur tevot b'tfilah l'machshava, by connecting the words and thoughts during our davening, אנחנו יכולים לזרז את עצמנו להשיג את הפנימיות של התורה ושל הנהגת השם. Through this, we can speed ourselves up in grasping the internalness of the secrets of the Torah and Hashem's actions. כי הפנימיות נעשית חיצוניות, because the inside, the internal becomes external. ומציין מעונת, and Reb Nassan adds here, V'inyan le'el ha'torah or ganuz. And this idea that was mentioned above is in the Torah of or ganuz, the hidden light, which is Torah Tet Vav, Od Hei, section 5. Sham evorah gam ken inyan zeh. And there it's explained this idea. And he has here a little note. Since we have a few minutes, I'll just read the note. Oh, look at that. We're almost finished the whole lesson. It's a short one. I'd like to finish it. We'll finish it next week. I would just read this here. This is what it says. Zoche al yedei tefillah. A person merits through davening. Ki HaKadosh Baruch Hu umitaved et tefiratam shel Yisrael. Because Hashem desires to have the prayers of the Jewish people. When the Jewish people daven before Hashem and they fulfill His desire to be a vessel to bring down the abundance to the world, that is making, in a sense, a vessel that's called Isha, woman, which receives pleasure from us. As it's written, that there's a pleasurable scent that goes up to Hashem. Al yedei hareach nichoach machkeven naaseh b'bchinat isha. So he connects the word ishe to isha. He says by making this smell through the sacrifices, we make a smell that's pleasurable to Hashem. So too, when we daven, we make a smell that's pleasurable to Hashem, and that's connected to Isha. Isha is nekeva tisovev gever. Isha is the woman that's around the man. A man. HaKadosh Baruch Hu naaseh b'bchinat malbush nigle, and then Hashem becomes this revealed external garment. Hainu b'chinat shaya mitchila v'nistar. That is, in the beginning Hashem was hidden, but now Hashem is revealed. V'achshav nitgale al yedei hatfila. And how is Hashem revealed? Through the davening. V'kujabrichu ve'oraita kula chad. And Hashem and His Torah are all the same. V'azai al yedei hatfila nitgale oraita. And then through davening, Hashem's Torah is revealed. Hainu sitrei oraita. That is the hidden secrets of the Torah. Ad kan leshano. Okay, and we'll finish the last section next week with Hashem, and then we'll move on. These are short lessons. That was the point. I'm moving on. Just didn't realize it was that short. Okay, so I have a short story for you. I think I told this before. Rabbi Shlomo Freifeld, I think is you say his name. It's a story that I recorded on the podcast. I probably mentioned it here, but I read it again on Shabbos, and I left my office late, so I didn't have time to prepare a story, but this story came to me on the way. So, did you know this rabbi? Have you heard of him? Lived in New Jersey. He was a Rosh Hashiva of some, I don't remember the name of the Shiva. So, that's it. What is it? Shar Yashuv. Very good. Such a good education. He can't milk a cow for his life, but he knows the name of the yeshiva. Okay, it won't be worth very much on the farm in Russia. Okay, so there was this guy, Jewish guy, who wanted to study to be a shaman, a Native American doctor, witch doctor, whatever it is. And he studied with all these people, and then he was going to be tested by the top shaman in the world. And he goes before this woman, and I remember when Reb Shalom would talk about gurus and swamis in India, he would say there's good ones and there's bad ones. The good ones tell you to go back to your people, and the bad ones suck you in and don't let you go. So this woman looks at him before he even takes a test. She says to him, "You're a Jew, go back to your people. You don't belong here." He says, "But I've been living with the native Indians for years and years. I know the language, customs, everything. I want to be a shaman. I want to be tested by the best person in the world." She said, "No, go back to your people." And so, disappointed, he goes back to New Jersey. And he says, "What, I have to be a Jew?" And he's really frustrated because he really wanted to find his way amongst the Native Americans. But he said, okay, if the top shaman in the world says to him to go to his people, so he'll go into yeshiva. He goes into the Shar Yashuv yeshiva, and where Rabbi Freifeld was the Rosh Yeshiva, and he sees this guy who clearly looks out of place. And the rabbi says, "What can I do for you?" He says, I wanted to be a shaman, and they told me to go back to my people, and I walked into your yeshiva." So the rabbi said, "It's very important that we talk." Wait at my office, and a few minutes later he comes in, and he says, "Tell me your story." And he says, "I lived on the reservation for years. I learned all of their customs. I ate their food. I know everything. And they told me that I have to go back to my people." And the rabbi said, "You know what? This is a very important conversation. I want you to come back next week when I have time to listen to you." And they set a time and said, "Come back next week." Now the guy left, and he thought, the rabbi's not serious. He's just dragging me along. I don't want to be here. I want to go back to my people, the Indian people, the Native Americans. But for some reason, after a week, he decides to go back. And he goes back, and the rabbi says to him, "Okay, so now please, again, tell me your whole story." And he starts telling about the Native Americans and the shaman and all this. And then someone comes in and says, "Rabbi, we have a very urgent question we need you to answer." And the rabbi says to this guy, "1 second, I'll be right back in a few minutes." And as the rabbi leaves, he starts looking around the office, and he sees all these holy books and books packed into the shelf, one on top of the other. And sitting on his desk, he sees 2 books from the local library about Native Americans. And when the rabbi comes back, he says, "Yes, please, go on, tell me everything." He tells him everything, and the rabbi knew how to answer questions and how to ask questions and how to interact with him. And then in the end, he said to him, Rabbi, I see you have these 2 books over here. And he said, yeah, that's the reason I asked you to come back a week later. I realized you needed guidance, but I didn't have the education to do it. I wanted time to read it. And it said in the story that his daughter said that he stayed up all night that night before the meeting reading the 2 books because he didn't find the time to read it before. And of course, the guy became a Baal Tshuva and became part of the yeshiva and got married and had a Jewish family and did exactly what the shaman said. But it's really in the merit of this rabbi who I really say to him, Kol HaKavod. You know, he could have just said, you're not one of us, get out of here. But he took his time, he read the books, and we also have a good story from it. Okay, so we'll play a little nigun. Shkoyach to everybody for joining us. Also the people online that I didn't get a chance to say hi to. Let's see.